Okay, let's explore this amazing adventure that we're all sharing together from the theme of destiny and free will. This comes up a lot in the exploration of what is the true nature of reality. It's often posed as an either or. It's destiny or it's free will. Well, what if we don't trap ourselves in any sort of either or paradigm like this? And what if we expand it out even further and let it just be based on what is our direct experience? Rather than trying to solve this with our mind, let's just see what it's like in our direct experience. We notice that we have choice. Right now, as an example, you can choose to opt out of what I'm saying. You can decide. I have no interest in this. And you can move on to some other experience. You don't have to stay, being available to this. So you have choice. You can stay with it or you can move along. And we have freedom of choice. We can verify it in our own experience. Right in this very moment. Notice you could get up and dance a little jig. You could decide to go get some orange juice and turn on the TV. You could decide to go for a bike ride. We have choice. So we can verify that in our own experience. So one of the ways that I've played with this over the years, when this comes up, is an image that came to me one day when I was exploring this. And in the image, I became aware of a Shakti River. So imagine for a moment a river of Shakti, because everything is an expression of Shakti, this Sanskrit word that means, the power, the energetic essence that everything is an expression of. And it has flow nature to it. It's a Shakti river that we're all in together. And so imagine for a moment that you're riding in this big Shakti river. And it has a particular flow nature to it. So you're in the current of the river and you're laying back and you've got a life vest on that's, allowing you to stay afloat without having to worry about drowning or anything like that. And you notice that you can paddle with your hands and kick with your legs, and you have the ability to move within the river. The river has a particular current, a particular flow that goes this way and that way and has its own characteristic, this Shakti river that you're in. So you're flowing in this Shakti river, and you have the ability to move about within the river. So as you're riding in this river and noticing that you have the freedom to choose within the river, downstream to the right on the bank, you see a table with some cut up watermelon slices. Who knows how it got there, but there it is. It has been presented to you as a possibility on a table right there, right at the edge of the river. You could just paddle over there and, snag some of that watermelon as you float by. And it seems like such a yes. This is such a yes. Yes, I say yes to this watermelon. So you paddle over and you worked your way over to the right, and the river is carrying you downstream, and you're getting closer and closer and closer. And as you get closer and closer to the watermelon, all of a sudden the current in the river is pulling you away from that bank on the right where the watermelon sits on the table. Well, you don't like that. You want that watermelon. You've said yes to this watermelon when you were upstream, and now you have determined you're going to get that watermelon, even though the current of the river is pulling you for some reason away from the watermelon. I want that watermelon. Our wanter be wanton. And so we start paddling really hard, and we're swimming upstream. Now we've gone past it, and our arms are, swimming as hard. We're kicking our legs as hard as we can, and we're just getting exhausted of trying to fight this current. And no matter how hard we try, no matter how hard we struggle and exhaust ourselves, we're just not going to be able to overcome the current of the river that pulled us away from that watermelon. So we accept that. We rest back on our back. And we glance over and we notice, wow, we didn't even see it when we were upstream, but right below where that watermelon was, as you float by, you see there was a freshwater shark that had suddenly appeared right just a few feet downstream from where the watermelon was, just waiting for somebody to try to get that watermelon, and you would have been eaten by the shark if we let this be playful as we ride in our river. So for some reason, the current pulled us away, and then we noticed, oh, had it not pulled us away, we would have potentially been eaten by the shark. Do we know for sure we would have been eaten by the shark? No. Could be that the shark wasn't hungry and we would have, just swam right by and patted the shark on the head and had some watermelon. But that's not how it went. We didn't get the watermelon. But we notice that we do have some level of ability to navigate within this river, and there are certain currents of the river that are sometimes quite a mystery to us. Now we look downstream and we see that there's an apple tree on the side of the bank, over there on the left. And the apple tree is located right at the edge of the river, and there's one of its limbs that are hanging out over the river, and there's a perfectly ripe, juicy-looking apple. Oh, yes. We say yes to this apple. If at all possible, we're going to give it our best go. So we paddle over there to the left, and we paddle, and it's working out. The current is flowing us right underneath the tree limb. We reach for it, we grab the apple, and we snag it, and we're so grateful for this juicy, perfectly ripe apple, and we bite into it, and it's so delicious. With every bite, we're getting to enjoy this wonderful apple that was presented to us as we were riding in our Shakti River. Each bite so delicious and so nourishing, and you can feel the energy, the Shakti of the apple going into your body and fueling up all the energy systems of your body. And you eat the whole apple, and all that's left is the little central part where the seeds are, and you want to give somebody else the chance for an apple, so you carefully throw the apple core up on the bank in a nice dirt section so maybe those seeds can grow a new apple tree. We're in the adventure of our Shakti River. Next thing we notice, there's a big boulder downstream just a little bit to our right, and so we paddle as hard as we can to try not to have to crash into that boulder, but we're too late. We didn't see it in time, and bam, our head bangs up against the rock. We could tell we've got a cut now. There's blood coming down our forehead. We're so upset. Why do there have to be boulders in my river? I don't want boulders in my river. That really hurt. Do I need stitches? Is there any place where I can get stitches in this river? I don't like that there's boulders in my river. Then we notice that we're getting all pulled into the very compelling story of resisting that event, and then we remember our living practice, and we notice where we're feeling this feeling in our body, and we, as we're floating along, we now enter into the living practice, and we be available to that feeling, and we honor that feeling. And well, of course our wanter would have wanted us to not bang into that rock, and we thank our wanter. Little by little, that feeling of feeling like a victim and all that story just gently releases, and we're resting back into nature, and little by little the cut on our forehead, heals itself up, and we're on our journey in our river. We're aware now, though, that there are boulders in our river, so we're much more on the lookout for boulders, and we notice there's one on the left downstream. So now we paddle over to the right, and we navigated it really well, and we didn't bang into that boulder. Wow, that was so nice to not have to bang into that one. And as we continue on our journey in the river, there's low-hanging limbs that we sometimes have to dodge, and there's all kinds of buck-wild things that present themselves in our river, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. There's various weather situations and all kinds of circumstances and comings and goings in our river. And we're getting really good at navigating. Sometimes unforeseen things happen, but we're getting ever more into the adventure perspective as we stay in our practices, as we experience our Shakti River. One day, we notice way off in the distance, there's the ocean. Oh, our mind comes in and connects some dots for us and says to us, oh, that's what this whole journey has been all along. Now there's some thoughts coming into our mind saying to us, that's what this whole thing has been all along. All along we've been in this tributary Shakti River that was bringing us to the ocean. How lucky is that? It was bringing us to the final goal. The goal all along was to get to the ocean, and unbeknownst to us, the river was automatically going to take us there. How amazing is this? The river flows us into the ocean, and we rest back and we just feel so wonderful. We're now in the final goal. We're in the ocean. The river has brought us to the ocean. And clearly, this was the goal all along, right? According to our mind has now come up with this conclusion that the whole thing all along was to get to the ocean. But then we're noticing, as we're in the ocean, there's something inherently revealed that's beyond the conclusion of our mind regarding this. And what we start to notice from our direct experience is this ocean that we're in is also water. And the river we were riding in, also water. All along, we were in the water. Whether it was the river or the ocean, we always were in the water. All along, it was always the same adventure. It was only our mind that would automatically, of course, assume that there was a goal to get to the ocean. Then we would be some sort of conclusion or something. And so we then realize, oh, the whole thing always was the adventure. Whether we were in the Shakti River or the Shakti Ocean, it's always been eternity, exploring itself in myriad ways as rivers and oceans and planets and lifetimes and universes. In every moment, with every heartbeat, we are already home, and we are infinite, eternal beings, exploring all the possibilities of creation. We are explorers of realities. We are up for the adventure. And in every moment, the lovely possibility is we can enjoy the ride. We can rest back into the perspective that it's always the adventure, and it's only when we get pulled into this that we call problem solver mind and the wanter that we then perceive whatever's occurring from the perspective that it's a problem, and that we need to manage it and control it and handle it and manipulate it and get everyone to be compliant with how our wanter wants them to be. We can be liberated from that limited perspective, that illusion of separation, and realize all along it has always been the elegant wholeness, and each of us is a unique and lovely and eternal expression of this eternal, absolute play and adventure of reality.